Alrighty. I think we're back. Well, that's unfortunate. Alrighty. I think we're back. That's awfully unfortunate, dude. Let's see here. Let me see here. Update our chat. Let's see here. Okay. We back, boys. Alrighty. We are back, and now we're full screen keyboarding. Oh my gosh. I'm almost done with this anyway. Oh, God damn. These Otemu blues are the worst. The amount of force required... Here, let me show you. The amount of force to fucking remove them destroys the housing on the Switch. Like, normally you're supposed to be able to grab them and just pick them up. There are these clamps on either side. But the clamps on this one are so weak that they fucking just eat shit the moment you apply any fucking pressure to them. Like I said, when Otemu hits, it fucking hits. I have tons of Otemu switches. But these blue switches are fucking terrible. They, like, sometimes they're fine, right? But, like, 9 times out of 10, they're garbage. Yeah, they're... Ah! Ow. One more. All things considered, though, out of all the eUSO boards, and I've done like 4 of them, out of all the eUSO boards that I've worked on, this one has been the easiest, so they're getting better with quality assurance. So these are the keycaps and key switches that I pulled from this board. These are all going in the trash. They're all garbage. All of it. It's all trash. Okay. Get out any garbage. Come on, guy. Make sure there's nothing. Good shit. So here is our base, right? This is what we're working with. Ryan, this should be similar. You should know what this is. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab a magnetics parts tray, and we're just kind of gonna go to town, removing these keyboard screws. And once these are out, we can take the thing apart. And then we're going to do some serious modding to this board. This is going to kind of take all the stops. And we're really going to throw some effort into getting this right for my boy. So we've got most of the screws out now. We've got one more. And I think what I might do is just steal the pre-cut stuff that I had already pre-cut for my EUSO. But I'm also thinking of just keeping it simple and moving forward with just a fresh coat of all the stuff. Oh my gosh. Oh man, I don't have nails. Let's see if I can. There it goes. Plastic plate. There we go. So all of our stabilizers are on here. We're going to set that to the side. And important to note, like I said earlier, these things, I don't know if you can kind of see it, they have lube on them. Factory lube stabilizers from EUSO. That's crazy. That is an unreal amount of effort to put into a keyboard that sells for less than $25. Big time. Lube. Yes, lube. And all we're gonna do, see, there's still bits of sprue in here, and I know you can do better, EUSO. We're gonna kind of be very gentle. We're gonna remove the cable. Let's get a little closer. There we go. Kind of legendary, to be honest. Yeah, no, for real. This $25 thing, Ryan, you weren't here when I showed it off earlier. This $25 thing came with the keyboard, a mouse pad, and a whole ass gaming mouse for 25 bucks. And you know what? This mouse, like, it's supposed to be a ripoff, I'm assuming, of the what was it called? The Glorious Model O. It's very good for what it is. And I don't mean that as like a, oh, it's good. No, I promise, guys, for real. No, like, it legit is pretty good. If I go, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to set the PCB to the side as well. And we're kind of going to focus. Here, let me see if I can turn the camera at all. There we go. So we kind of got to focus with this, right? So my thought is we're going to kind of do the shelf liner trick that I did in one of my other streams. And so in order to kind of demonstrate what we're doing here, zoom out a bit. I'll set this over here. Let's get these out of the way. We're going to kind of roughly cut sections that are roughly the right size, and then we'll trim. Okay. Arts and crafts in here, baby. Arts and crafts. Alrighty. Let's work with that first. We'll get some more if we need it. So this is not going to be long enough, but that's okay. I'd actually rather prefer to work in smaller sections. Shelf liner works, man. It's cheap. It's plentiful. Let's see here. There we go. Alrighty, so the way that we're going to go about this is I'm going to try not to obstruct. So these vents right here, right, there's a plastic diffuser inside. I'm going to do my best not to obstruct that. But at the same time, come as close as I can to nearly obstructing that. And I'm going to do what I did last time, where I've got my side snips. And I'm just going to kind of go in deep after wrapping it around here to try and snip one of the sides so that it fits down around the base of the peg. And we're just going to kind of get in there and do what we got to do, man. I'm excited to see how this one comes out. I like the way that stuff feels. I don't know why. Yeah, it's kind of sticky, but not really. Almost sponge-like. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. Don't even need to put that there. I'm just gonna get in there. We're getting it put in there, dude. How's everybody's night? How was everybody's day at work today? That's what I want to know. I know your night's fine. But how was your day at work today? It's Tuesday. It's the day also known as National Tuesday. Also known as National I Wish a Motherfucker Would Try Me. Nothing like some paint thinner fumes. My favorite. You getting there, dude. Alright, so we got our first layer down there. I'm going to just kind of cut a section to fill in that side. Trim that just a hair. Big bless to Cedric Highsmith of Duke University. Duke Highsmith, Cedric University. I love that man. Okay. Let's see here. I have 1,000 line blocks to get through tomorrow, and then after that, 1,000 more after that, and I'll do it after watching Open the Third. So I'm really going to... Yeah. Nice. Nice. I love to see where it goes. Because boys support boys. That's how it goes. Okay. It's supposed to be pop punk, lol. You hate pop punk. Why are you out here trying to do pop punk if you hate it? Don't waste your energy on that. Then again, live to be petty. I don't know. You do what you want. He's given Weezer. Is it Blue Album Weezer or Pork and Beans Weezer? Red Album Weezer. You sent me the song file. I listen to it right now. Nerd. Blue Album. Okay. So then you're not completely lost yet. You're at the height. That's good shit. Hard. I need to just get... You know what? I don't like the second layer at all. I'm going to say fuck it, and I'm going to redo this second layer. And I'm going to specifically do it with like a proper length piece. How is the best way to do this? Oh no, if I mimic a fucking song, Susan will fucking have my asshole. Can't even stream a fucking show that nobody watches. Fucking Susan. Boo. Weezer's weird because they have some good music, but it's also kind of just a meme to hate on Weezer. Their Blue Album is kind of Susan Wojcicki. Got him. There are certain albums that are just a hard pass for Weezer for me, though. They're fucking... The Red Album, for the most part, is kind of garbage. I did cut this just a little too long. I would rather, at this point, be longer than short. That's a good second layer. I think that looks nice. There we go. See, I think I'm only gonna do 2 layers of shelf liner. think that's going to be the move. Because there's still air in there, but it's not dead empty, you know? And when it gets sandwiched together, it'll be even tighter. Really, what I'd like to use is mousepad, but finding like a decent quality mousepad to take apart that people don't mind losing is kind of hard to do. So I started going to fucking Five Below and buying up their mouse pads that they put on clearance for like $1. Because that's really as perfect as you can get, is get a mouse pad that nobody cares about. Ain't nobody gonna be heartbroken over a Five Below mouse pad. But then again, it's kind of the best material to stuff in your keyboard. Shelf liner is good because it's cheap, like en masse. But like, mousepad is got some weight. It's got some deadening properties, and that's really what you want when you're trying to get a keyboard to be a little bit more muted. Plus, in addition to this, we're going to be doing the tape mod, or the Tempest mod. See, come on. Go. Thank you. There we go. There we go. I just need to trim this end just a hair bit. Again, we don't want to block things, but I think that's gonna work, man. I think that's gonna be kind of perfect. Oop, I missed one. So in theory, I should be able to just push this down, and that should it sounds like a tick rather than a like a hollow thok kind of sound. So I'm happy with that. So I think our base is done. I think the big thing that's going to be next is really doing the tape mod. I have to grab my tape. Hold on. So we're going to do the Tempest mod, which I do not don't think is like a beginner kind of mod. And we're going to do 2 layers. And we're going to avoid covering. And everybody, I'm waiting for everybody to just go, what the fuck? Painter's tape? Yes, painter's tape. And we're just going to do as many pieces as is necessary. The reason is this gives it something to separate contact between the material in the bottom of the case and the PCB. But this is not to be done for like every keyboard. Especially this part. This part, if you're using a keyboard that's worth its fucking weight, there's nothing you need to put into the bottom. It should have its own deal. It should have its own foam that comes with the keyboard. kind of get around the socket where the keyboard cable will plug in. Gonna do our best here. It looks really trashy, I know, but I promise you it is worth it. And that is actually a well-known mod. I'm just gonna kind of get a piece down there. There we go. I promise you, it makes sense. So that's layer 1 for the most part. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go the opposite way, creating kind of like a mesh, or rather like a weave. I'm going to do our best here. We're going to be doing the old trusty Band-Aid mod today. Same thing that we did last time. Just because this board needs all the help it can get. I'm going to use this little scrap to, once again, get in by the socket. Yeah, so the Band-Aid... Oh, thank you for sending me the file. Where'd you say... Oh, over Discord. Oh god, there's a bot in the chat. Somebody ban it. Let's take a listen. Oh, I know the song. Hey, Kyle. We're listening to, yeah. Listening to a song, or rather, hopefully the best version of this song that exists by old Uncle Comrade in chat. Waiting for the solo. It just hit me. I know I've cut it off early. Here, actually, no, let me. You know what that sounds like? It actually hit me, like the actual like vibe it gives. It's not Weezer. It gives backing track to playing as Bart Simpson in The Simpsons Hit and Run vibes. So to give you an idea, Simpsons Hit and Run OST Bart. Yeah. This is the soundtrack from Hit and Run. It echoes this so much. It's not a bad thing. I actually really like the fucking soundtrack. Okay, so we've got our tape mod done. Now we need to do the Band-Aid mod for the PCB. And so what we do in the Band-Aid mod, this is the same mod that I did in my last stream, but we're just going to do it a little bit more simply. What we're going to do first is I need to get these back on the screw pegs. I just need to push on each of these to give it the ability to give me an impression. There it goes. And then where each of those screw holes leave an impression, I'll go in and, oop, well, okay. Or I can just use that as a battering ram, I guess. But what I'm going to do is go through and just cut a little hole. Normally I'd use scissors. Some of these are there we go. Little holes. And all I'm doing is just pushing my side snips through. And what that just does is opens it up for the standoffs to push right through. I think that's everyone. I think. Oh, Jesus. There's a stand-up I didn't cut the pieces for. There we go. Like I said, all I'm doing right now is just basically creating pilot holes. And then I'm going to use the keyboard to push it on through. I think the only one that didn't push through is the ones in the corner, but that's because they don't have anything to push through. Yeah, there's... Well, that one doesn't actually have a screw. Or standoff, and neither does that. Okay, maybe I'm just high. That's fine. I'd rather be high anyway. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put... I'm going to clean up my area real quick. I'm going to take a sip of Fresca. We're going to come in a little closer. And really what we're going to do is, once these are through, and I'm comfortable with it, there's a little bit of bowing towards this side, but nothing crazy. Nothing that a little bit of elbow grease can't do. And then really what it's going to be is I need to get this out of the... Well, actually, let me do the Band-Aids for this. So the reason we do Band-Aids is when the keyboard makes contact, so when these stabilizers, right, when these guys come through and you push on your key, it pushes this little piece of plastic. And when this makes contact with the board, you get something called stabilizer chatter or rattle. And it is the worst. I genuinely think it is some of the worst sounds in a keyboard you can get. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm thinking I'm going to need like 3 or 4 Band-Aids. And so what you do is, if you saw my last stream, is you get fabric Band-Aids, specifically fabric Band-Aids, that you want to dampen the stabilizers, and you get each of the sides opposite the cotton part, and then you lay a piece of Band-Aid where the stabilizers meet the board. Is it wonky? Yes. Does it work? Also yes. Have I done this more times than I can count? Absolutely! And with a nice sharp pair of scissors, this goes relatively quickly. And then the Band-Aid scraps you can just toss. I know, this is riveting content. But you know what? I'm just glad if anybody hangs out. I'm happy for that. And I just mauled this fucking Band-Aid. Jesus Christ. Talk about having a sharp pair of scissors and then you fuck them up. There we go. That one is worth being on the keyboard. And then, like I said, all of the shmoo that you don't use, you can just toss. Like I said, this is a definite, straight up, kind of trashy mod, but it works. Oh my god, does it work? Especially for keyboards that have linear switches. That's the that is the move. Come on. Just getting in here. Here's our next one. This is our backspace key. Same deal again. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think. Come on, guy. That's our enter key. also important thing, you've got keyboards where your case screws are close to the backspace key. There's a screw hole that's right there. Some of the keyboards that I've done, so similar to my keyboard, it has it, but there's actually this screw for the case. These guys here, this. If it's close enough, you can impede the ability to screw the thing together later. Do yourself a favor, don't do that. So I did that. We need one more band-aid, and I think we should be golden. There we go. And the cool part about it being fabric, right, is like you don't have to be too precise with it. There we go. This band-aid will ride another day. But I'll have you know, Kyle, these are Band-Aid brand Band-Aids. I'm pulling out all the stops. I ain't even going with the store brand Band-Aids. I'm kidding. I don't actually buy Band-Aid brand Band-Aids. But, okay. So now we have the Band-Aids on the board. And then before we do anything else here, we need to turn our attention to the plate. Okay, so this is where things get a little hairy. So what we need to do is, because while this is lube, it is not sufficient enough lube. I'm confident in saying keeping these stabilizers on the board is going to be an okay thing. We're going to need to Band-Aid mod the plate as well, which is a very weird thing to say out loud, admittedly. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into here, and we're going to use our snips. Actually, you know what? We're going to use our tweezers. And all we're going to do is, so for these stabilizers, right? Each of the stabilizers has a point at which it snaps in. You can't see that. I can't show you. Let's see if I can. In focus, please. So each of these stabilizers, right, has a clip right here at the front of the stabilizer. And if you push on it, it'll cause the stabilizer to dip. Say I do it with this side as well. That one comes right out. And oh God, does it have lube on it? Jesus. Okay. So that's one stabilizer. So that's what we're going to be doing with all of them. Is just pressing on the clip and giving it a little bit of a pressure from the back to kind of push it out of its spot. Come on. I say that, and then this one doesn't want to cooperate. There it goes. Here's another one. And we're just kind of working it out here. I know you can't really see. It's not really something you can see. Ugh. Just using one of the things of the of the tweezers to push in on that tab. This particular one does not want to. Okay. Okay, maybe it does, and I'm just a liar. Good stuff. Okay, so all of our keyboard stabilizers are out, and oh man, my camera is now telling me it is bleeding the power. So this plate's going to need some attention. The big thing, of course, being that it needs more Band-Aids! So let's take a break. I think a break is in order. I need to stand up. I've been live for about an hour and 45 minutes. No, an hour and a half. What am I talking about? I'm going to take a break, get something else to drink. You guys take a bathroom break. I'll do the same. Be right back. Hey, yo. I'm back, but naturally, we're having issues with the amount of battery in the camera. So I'm going to come out of the void for a bit. And we're just going to kind of make this supersized. While we're working on the stabilizers. So that battery is charging, so we're only doing this temporarily. We're in the frankly annoying part of building this, right? We've got a classy Coke Zero, zero sugar, zero caffeine. It tastes like cancer. And what we're gonna do now is we need to band-aid the placement for the stabilizer. So these guys here, 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 and here, and here, and here, are all where the stabilizers meet the plastic. And in manufacturing, when this is, you know, like vacuum formed or however it's made, the heat from doing so warps this just enough to where these stabilizers sitting in the bottom are just rattling back and forth. And so it makes a really nasty sound. I had set aside my super lube, but I don't see it right now. That will be a problem. I need that lube. I need a lube. There it is. I knew I set it aside. We're back with the super lube, baby. Back with the super lube. Still just continues to make its mark. And continues to impress. So we're gonna get some more band-aids. I don't need that many band-aids. Realistically, I can get 3 stabilizers out of one side of a band-aid, so I only need like 1 or 2. So really at this point, let me actually just move you over, that'd be easier. So really at this point, what we're doing is just, I backwards stream. The mouse looks great, dude. Like, I'm genuinely surprised. It looks quite good. But yeah, so now we're at the part where it's kind of annoying, but this is the second to most annoying part of building the keyboard, and I just completely removed the backing on those, which is fine. We're gonna cut, leave this guy here for now. And then I only need a thin strip. So for example, what I'm doing from the back, right? I'm gonna take the Band-Aid, similar to my other live stream when I made the keyboard. We're gonna go in from the back, give it the Band-Aid, and then push it through around. It'd help if I didn't lift it up to where it just covers the side of where that particular stabilizer sits. And so what happens is that fills in the gaps enough to where it doesn't rattle nearly as much. We're going to do the same thing again for every stabilizer. Unfortunately, there are quite a few. By unfortunately, I mean fortunately. Now, I probably said something in the last time I did this, so the effect of, well, the ends of the Band-Aids make it easier, so I'm only going to use the ends of the Band-Aids. Yeah, you can do that. It's kind of impractical, and you waste quite a bit of your Band-Aid. But it is way easier. You can get a way cleaner result out of that. But, no matter. We're going to keep trudging along, man. I'm genuinely excited to see how this comes out. This is likely going to be a 2-part stream. I'm probably going to stream the switches, like final assembly and everything, tomorrow. Because there's a lot of fucking work that gets put into just the chassis itself. That's the thing that's crazy about it. It's like, oh yeah, no, you're putting band-aids on it, but yeah, no, it's, in my opinion, a little bit more difficult than just putting band-aids on there. I will say I'm literally just putting band-aids on it, but I'm going to be a little bit more liberal with this next one. Try and just get 2 out of this band-aid. I'm going to go here. There's a really smart thing to do with this keyboard, which is to mix up some 2-part silicone. Just take a paintbrush and paint it on to every contact point with the PCB. I don't have silicone, nor do I care for silicone fumes, like when you're mixing it. So we're doing what we can. Oh, hey! It's Cam. Hey, you. Big music enjoyer. Gotta know, have you listened to the Risk of Rain 2 Survivors of the Void soundtrack? I have. Risk of Rain 2 is a surprisingly good game. I did not think I'd like it at all. And the little bit that I've played of it is so good. And yeah, it is very much my speed. I need to adjust that a bit. There we go. There we go. So we're just giving it enough, just enough buffer. Although this one in particular, I'm being a bit of a stickler with. Spacebar is always the worst to rattle. It is always the worst. I've long since considered doing 2 band-aids on the spacebar. I ultimately decided against it because I feel it would interfere with the ability for the spacebar to do what it needs to do. There we go. That looks cleaner. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. We're getting there, dude. We're getting there. That battery is still charging. I hate that that battery is so awful. That's why people usually have, like, multiple batteries. I should probably order a second battery. Might do me some good, eh? There we go. 3 more. Oh no, 2 more. Dang. I think 3 more. I'm going to redo that side of the spacebar. We're getting there, man. Gives me something I can do with my hands. That's what I like about keyboards, man. Maybe TMI, but growing up, my dad and my brother, like, you know, they were into mechanic stuff, and I just wasn't. So I never really got into hobbies that really use my hands. And so every time I get into a hobby where I can kind of get my hands in on stuff and, like, use my hands to make something pretty, I don't know, it's kind of personally fulfilling. I know y'all can't see this, but trust me, it's not much to see. There we go. And then all I'm going to do is redo this side of the spacebar. I wonder if I can just reuse that piece. And just kind of... Yeah. There we go. That looks way better. Okay. There we go. Now we've got band-aids on all the stabilizer pieces. Which, again, I admit looks trashy. The next part is going to be lubing these stabilizers and getting them back in place in the plate. So let's start with our spacebar. This is going to be a big deal. And all we're going to do... I could clip these. I'm wondering if I should. I don't think the clipping does a whole lot. But you know what? Nah, I'm not going to clip them. I'm not going to spend the time doing that. I think that that's not going to do us a whole lot of good here. Genuinely. Just a little bit of super lube. Get it lined up, pop it back into place. And that's all we're doing. And apparently we're putting them on backwards. It just means I have to put this one on backwards. Come on. I don't need that much lube. Oh god, it's a lube conundrum. One lube stabilizer. Two lube stabilizer. Three lube stabilizer. Yeah, the way that I see it is if it doesn't impact the end result, right, then it doesn't really matter with keyboards. So even if, you know, it looks ugly as sin right now, the important thing is that if you're not going to notice it once everything is put together, it does not matter how it gets put together. There's 4. Got one more that we're going to lube. Letting the lube make a bit of a mess in those stabilizers just because these kinds of stabilizers where rattle is a concern. Come on. There we go. And a little extra lube isn't going to hurt anybody. And we're not done with that lube, but we are going to get these back in place, and you can see the stabilizer. So earlier I was talking about how these stabilizers wiggle. These guys aren't going anywhere. That's absolutely solid. Now those band-aids are on there. So we're gonna go in. Same deal. Each of these are going in. And finally our spacebar. Gorgeous. We got all of our stuff back in there. And importantly, no rattle when I do this, which is a big deal. So now we've got our top plate done. Next is the old lube. I'm just gonna kind of get a little messy with it. Just get in here at first. It seems crazy to do that, but I assure you, I'm a professional. I'm not a professional. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna use part of a wrapper here to kind of get in there and just make sure we're even. There we go. And we don't want gobs of this, right? We want just enough to mute the sound when it hits. So good stuff. So now what we're doing is we're moving to putting the plate back on. Oh, whoops, we're not moving to putting the plate back on. I'm a liar. We need the cable. Earth to Z. So we're going to turn this over temporarily. And get our cable put back in. Come on. Flatten out the tape a bit. I'm just gonna, there it goes. There we go. Alrighty. And then that cable's gonna go down like that. After I flip it, of course. There we go. Ugh, there we go. Lube on my hands. Okay. Now, we should be able to kind of clamp this back together. Oh, yeah. Alrighty. There's a little bit of an issue on this side, and I think it's because there's a little bit of our shelf liner that is causing a problem. This is the biggest issue with when I did this myself on my other keyboard, but I think with us screwing it down, we should be okay. Just a little bit too much material there. Oh yeah, that's nice and funky. The only error that we're having right now is giving us a hard time is this right here. I see exactly what it is too. Let me get in there with my scissors. It's just a tiny little bit of material that's getting down in the channel where that side closes. And I think that should do it. That's what we were worried about. That's what was causing our problem, I bet. A little bit more that's not there? And that's in the way? Because it's still not wanting to play ball. Sure enough, there's just a little bit more. It's those two. There's this side that just goes a little, cuts it just a little bit too close. We're just going to trim that last little bit out. There we go. That should be enough. Need to stop touching the lubed areas. Getting on my hands. That's backwards. This spot again. If I recall correctly, I had the same issue with my EUSO. And I don't recall what the solution to it was. I think the solution is going to be just get it in there and screw it down. Yeah, that's what it is. So it's on there. And we're just going to get a screw in there. And now we can put this back together because now our base is prepped. So let's go ahead and get our screws back. The reason I'm doing this manually is because there are parts of this case that do not take kindly to over-tightening. And if you put them off kilter, it is not happy about it. That one's okay. That one's a tough one, I can tell. There we go. USB. Go. Last screw. Where's it go? There it is. We're almost there. I will show you here in just a bit. So it doesn't do RGB under the keys, which I think is actually perfect. It does RGB on the sides, right, to show that it's RGB, but on the actual keys themselves, it's one color. So here's what it looks like. So underneath the keys, it's this kind of bluish white color. So just kind of like a static backlight, which I think is actually better. But on the sides, we got fancy lights, fancy lights. And so now, ta-da! We've got our keyboard back together. I can tell that it works. So here's what I'm going to do. The hard part is not yet here. Yeah, the side was not static. No, the side moves. It's just like a strobing thing. So yeah, no, it's cool. I thought the backlight was going to be RGB, but I went and plugged in mine, and it absolutely is not RGB. It's just like the static bluish, greenish white. It's trying to be white. It's not, though. And straight up, mine does the same exact thing. It's not RGB. I don't know why I thought it was RGB. That's on me. But I think it'll be okay, because the majority of the light's going to be covered by your keycaps anyway. It's going to be closer to like a laptop keyboard, where it's just kind of backlit but not see-through. So here's what we got. We've got, and I think the camera battery should be coming back up. So we've got your switches. Yeah, cool, white. And so these are your matcha greens that I have done nothing with yet. I have yet to really play with them. And I'm going to take this one. And open it back up. Rather, open it up, not back up. So these green switches are linear. So to give you an idea, the switches that were in this keyboard before sounded like this. The switches we're putting in there sound like this. Significantly quieter. As a bit of an experiment, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to place one of these switches in here. Of course, I can remove them. So I'm going to try and put them in here. Come on. There we go. And I'm going to put it next to a key switch that came with it. I hate these switches so much. That's a broken one. Let's not do that one. That's another broken one. Let's not do that one. These key switches break when you look at them wrong. Oh, come on. Dude. Thank you. Okay, so we've got the ones we're replacing them with and the ones it came with. And what we're going to do is we're going to get some keycaps from your keycap set, which, if I recall correctly, are over here. So I'm just going to grab 2 random keycaps. So we're using better keycaps, right? So here is the keycaps, or the keycap, your new keycap on the switches it comes with. Kind of gross. And then here is the keycap on the switch that you replaced it with. On the table. It's a different sound and it's quieter. And I'm going to be lubing these switches so they go even quieter than this. Let me grab my switch puller. And of course, this particular switch gives me a bit of a hard time. Less clacky for sure. Yeah, less like annoyingly pingy. And on top of that, this keyboard is going to sound way better. So there we go. The keyboard for now can be set aside. The big thing you want to test on these keyboards is the spacebar. Let me throw one of your green switches in there real quick to test out your spacebar, because that's the big one, right? Oh, that's... Yeah, let me pause the music. That is far better than it had before. It was kind of gross before. That sounds way better. I really like how this is going to come out. I can see how it ends, and I am a fan. So these are going to need to be lubed, and that's okay. I guess we're going to get started on that tonight. I don't know if I can finish it tonight because, you know, these keyboards being taken apart, or these key switches being lubed takes a while. But I'm going to take your keyboard. And all I'm doing right now is I'm just wrapping the cable up. There we go. So this part of the keyboard is done for now. I'm going to set it to the side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and lube one of these switches. And we're going to hear the difference between them lubed and not lubed. So I've got my toolkit. I'm going to put your switches, your keycaps away. And believe it or not, it's going to sound even less clacky, because once we eliminate the scratchiness, in the switch by lubing it, I think we're going to be in good shape. So let me get my piece of kit here. So these guys use kind of Cherry MX style opener. I can push on them. It opens them up just like that. And then all I'm going to do, similar to how we did our other stream, I'm going to grab a piece of throwaway material here. We'll use the back of this. Get a little bit of this lube. A little bit of switch lube. Not much. I get out my lube brush. And I'm just going to kind of go to town. Lube. 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 Each of the surfaces that comes in contact. I don't want to lube the contact, though. Each of the lubes. Lube each of the surfaces that come in contact with the housing. So I'm going to use that. I'm not using my fancy tool because this is kind of, lube the lube, you know. Gotta make sure the lube is lubed and that the lubrication is lubed sufficiently, you know. And then what I'm going to do to be extra certain that this sounds good is I'm going to lube the spot where the slider slides. And then that is a lubed switch. Ooh. 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 Okay. So here's an unlubed switch. I'm going to try and get you the best sound possible. And then here's the lube switch. It's ever so slightly quieter. It's ever so slightly better. I really dig that. I think we're just going to start placing switches, man. I think that's the move. Just start lubing. Just get to it. So we've got our keyboard over here. We've got our switches that we need to lube. Yep, went from like a 3 to a 2. It's ever so slightly. Yep, that's unlubed. And that's lubed. And in real life, it sounds like it went from like a 3 to a 1. So I mean, yeah, I mean, there's nothing but to do it. I'm gonna start by putting this in place in your. There we go. And so that space bar before, right? This is what the space bar sounds like now after it's been lubed. So you heard how kind of talky it was. Ooh. There is a little bit of stabilizer rattle, but I don't know how to combat that. Honestly, I don't. It's really just that it's moving side to side. There's only so much I can do, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Hey there, Ryan. So we've gotten the switches out, and they are green. And we have done a lube of a switch, and it sounds good. It really does. It sounds great. So we're just kind of getting to it, and we're lubing. But we're going to, instead of doing the dumb way like I did before, we're going to go switch by switch. We just gotta do this enough times. Not oiling the springs because I've got to be honest with you. Aren't those the matchas? Yes, these are the green matchas. Excellent. Aye. Alrighty. Okay. Yeah, you want to eat one of these? They do look like a bit like a grape. Want to eat some grape switches? I'm gonna give us some more lube on the. I'm the reason for the 0 to 3, so the not to sad 3 onions. There we go. Get to some significant amount of lube. I think my battery is done charging. Hold on. Let's grab that battery and get back to old cam. Because I think that's going to be a better experience than watching me do it this way. Let's see. Okay. Hey, there we go. That's way better. Let me get my void back. Come on. There we go. Here's another switch. Luckily, we're doing a terrible amount of switches. Hey, you back and beautifuler. I'm Caucasian from the mountains of Caucasus. I saw a fucking TikTok quoting Cat Williams and I fucking lost it today. Damn. I'm really happy with how that feels. And Kyle, I think you're gonna love it, man. Definitely don't want to do this by hand, though. That's kind of annoying. Check. It's slow going, but it's important progress. We're gonna go until my hands tell me to stop. That's what she said. There you go. We're making progress, man. We're getting them in there. Hello? Oh, there's a life hack to how to use these things, and I don't remember it. I'm decently certain I was like, get it up against one side. Where's that other one I have? I actually like it better than this one. It's in my keyboard stuffs drawer. Decently certain I saw it the other day. Where you at, dude? Where you at, dude? Oh. Hold on, guys. Bad news, it was not where I thought it was. So we back. All you've got to do is lube the shaft. Drink time. We're just lubing each of the parts, guys. Just keeping it moving. Let me just check on that one real quick. Yeah, that one was safe. I was worried I could bend to the pins on that one. Nope, we're okay. I can show you all this. All it is just this little contraption you push onto it. It unlatches the thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then what we do is we get a little bit of our lube on the brush, just enough. You go into the slides, so here, into the slide here, go around and into the hole. Then you get your spring and you put it back on there. Set that to the side. Then what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the stem. So the item, the side that actually interfaces with the keycap is the cross. What I'm doing is I'm holding the cross and I'm flipping it upside down. And then I've got lube on the brush, the part that slides up and down in those slides that we just lubed, and the arms that make the contact. And because I'm being extra careful, I'm also lubing the pole that goes up and down. Just helps with smooth movement. Then if you want to be extra nutty like I am, the parts where the slide communicates with the top housing. So in this, for example, it's these raceways, or like are they called races? Where something is supposed to move in between. I don't remember what it's called. Like a cable race. And then you put it back together. You basically just push it back together and you have a lube switch. And we just line it up with the thing and push it in. Gorgeous. And then on to the next one. Grab the item, put it the sides, push it down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take the lube, move the slide around the hole and in the hole. Spring, which some would do lubed. I don't think it's really necessary because I have yet to find a lubed spring keyboard that I actually give a shit about. We're going to do the slides, the contact pins, and the pole. Putting the arms towards the metal contact. And on the top, where those things slide, we're going to lube that as well. With a light amount of lube, a significantly lighter amount of lube on the sides to do that. Line up the little gap in the front with the gap on the front of the housing. So this and this. Just line them up, push the slide through, put the sides together, grab and push, and bam. Lube switch. Not difficult by any means, but you have to do it, you know, for a 10 keyless, it's what, 86 times? We're just doing the thing. It's riveting content. I wish we could be watching that show right now. Of course, YouTube and Susan has to be away about it. Alrighty, we've done 10 switches. And if we bring back in some of these awful key switches, or awful keycaps, so I'm not going to pull out the nice ones, because we know the nice ones sound good. But if we put a bunch of these not so great keycaps on here, lubed in a row, good stuff. Sounding really good, actually. I want to watch something. I don't want to sit here and do nothing but listen to music. Let's see. Let's learn more about the FTX fallout. I think that's going to be fun. Add window capture. Here we go.
Sam Bankman-Fried was finally arrested yesterday, putting him on the CoffeeZilla wall of shame. And today, we have huge bombshells to share with you of all the new evidence that just came out, starting with his arrest. The Royal Bahamas Police Force just arrested Sam last night in cooperation with the United States, in light of criminal charges finally being filed against Sam. He's been accused of multiple counts of fraud, and we're going to talk about everything he's accused of. But first, I want to say, I know we haven't heard anything from law enforcement up to this point, but clearly it's not because they weren't working. They just didn't want to scare Sam into fleeing the country. In fact, the Department of Justice hid their indictment from the public. They sealed it in order to prevent Sam from knowing they were coming. And that strategy seems to have worked, because even days before his arrest, Sam was publicly saying in interviews that he didn't think he would be arrested.
You're certain that once all the investigations have happened, that you won't be arrested for fraud?
I don't think I will be. I don't think I tried to do anything wrong.
Wow. So it looks like he fell for it. Sam must have thought that he was going to get away with it, but that is not the case. And now that he is arrested, law enforcement have now all come out of the woodwork all at once, publicizing their work. So several charges got levied against Sam from different law enforcement organizations, and we're going to go through all of them, including new evidence that we did not know before. But first, I wanted a little more context. So I asked a great YouTube lawyer, Legal Eagle, to kind of break down this situation for us, to explain who's going after Sam, why, and what we can expect in terms of punishment.
Yeah, there was a time when it was an open question as to whether the US government would actually prosecute Sam Bankman-Fried and which department of the government had jurisdiction. And there were three likely candidates: the CFTC, the SEC, and the DOJ. Those questions have now been answered, and the answer is everyone. Putting together a successful prosecution for white-collar crimes takes a lot of time, and while critics said that SBF would never be prosecuted, getting 2 complaints and 1 indictment this fast is about as fast as the government can do absolutely anything. Now, the CFTC and the SEC filed civil complaints seeking monetary damages and injunctive relief to prevent SBF from being basically near a corporation or anyone's money ever again. The DOJ filed a criminal indictment related to wire fraud charges, conspiracy, money laundering, and campaign finance charges. Now, unlike the CFTC and the SEC complaints, if the DOJ convicts, SBF could be looking at some serious jail time. It's hard to say exactly how much, because at this point we don't have all the facts related to the crime seriousness scores or the potential sentencing enhancements. But here there are 3 groups of victims: FTX customers, Alameda lenders, and the United States. More victims generally means consecutive rather than concurrent sentences, and the more money at issue, the more severe the sentence. For some offenses, any crime involving more than $550 million gets the max enhancements, so we could easily be talking about more than 20 years in jail.
Wow, that's very helpful context. Thanks to Legal Eagle for that insight. He'll be linked in the description below. But now that we know what's going on, I want to start talking about the SEC's complaint. Because today, they accused Sam of defrauding investors for $1.8 billion. Quote, Bankman-Fried was orchestrating a massive years-long fraud, diverting billions of dollars of customer funds for his own personal benefit. Now, these are accusations we're familiar with, but there's very interesting information here about Alameda's missing $8 billion. If you remember, during one of my interviews with Sam, we asked him where all the money had gone, and he told us that there was this accounting error, which caused him to forget about $8 billion of customer funds that had been put in a poorly labeled fiat account and had been lent and lost by Alameda Research. But the SEC in this complaint says that wasn't an accident. It was held in an account called fiat@ftx.com, which wasn't poorly labeled for no reason or because it was a mistake. According to the SEC, Sam directed Alameda to hide this because he was, quote, concerned that this enormous liability would alarm Alameda's lenders. And that kind of makes sense. If you know somebody doesn't have $8 billion, owes $8 billion, that is pretty alarming and would make you think twice. And this would be huge evidence of intentional fraud. And not only that, the SEC claims on multiple occasions Bankman-Fried directed FTX to increase the credit line amount by which Alameda could maintain a negative balance on their platform, to the point where it grew to billions of dollars and effectively became limitless. Now, again, we are familiar with that claim, but here's another thing we didn't know. Because apparently Sam Bankman-Fried also directed their $8 billion liability to be moved into an account that wouldn't be charged interest like any normal user. So in other words, he purposely moved their margin account, which he said he didn't know about. He said he didn't know about this $8 billion into an account that wouldn't be charged interest like most of FTX's users. So all of this evidence makes it seemingly impossible that he didn't know about this stub account or fiat account, whatever he wants to call it, like he claims. Clearly he knew, and the SEC accusing him of this adds a lot of credibility to that. Now, in addition to the SEC, this internal knowledge of Sam and Alameda was further confirmed in a hearing today in the U.S. House Committee, where the bankruptcy lawyer John Ray III, who's overseeing the FTX bankruptcy, he was asked about if there's any way Sam didn't know about the backdoor access that Alameda had. And here's what he said.
That backdoor, which you've said allowed for unlimited access of Alameda, essentially unlimited access into the FTX customer accounts to fund their investments. In your eyes, is there any way that Sam Bankman-Fried or senior management wouldn't know about this sort of thing?
No.
Wow. Sam is getting slammed from every direction, including the guy overseeing his company's own bankruptcy. And you know what? I couldn't be happier, because up till now, it's just been Sam talking about how this was an embarrassing mistake. And finally, the adults have come in the room. We have real investigators, forensic professionals saying there's no shot that this story is true. On top of that, the company's own accounting practices were just horrific, which I found funny.
They use QuickBooks, a multi-billion-dollar company using QuickBooks.
QuickBooks?
QuickBooks.
I like how the Congresswoman can't even believe it could be so terrible at FTX. I mean, I know this isn't evidence of fraud. It's just kind of funny and embarrassing because I use QuickBooks for my YouTube channel, but these guys are using it for a $1 billion organization. And you can tell this bankruptcy lawyer is like, oh my gosh, they're using QuickBooks.
Nothing against QuickBooks, very nice tool, just not for a multi-billion-dollar company.
Now, from here, I want to move on from the SEC and the House Committee, and I want to talk about the CFTC revelations, because they also filed a complaint. And again, it's really bad for Sam. It's a 40-page document, but most alarming is this revelation. According to the CFTC, Sam Bankman-Fried knew back in September, remember they went bankrupt in November, he knew back in September that Alameda was hopelessly insolvent, and he considered shutting it down. Quote, in or around September 2022, Bankman-Fried drafted and shared a document that questioned whether Alameda should be permanently shut down. The document, titled We Came, We Saw, We Researched, began, I only started thinking about this today, and so haven't vetted it much. But I think it might be time for Alameda Research to shut down. Honestly, it was probably time to do that a year ago. And then he says the most alarming part, quote, "The fact we didn't hedge as much as we should have alone cost more in expected value than all the money Alameda has ever made or ever will make." In other words, they were down bad. They had lost more money than they ever made or ever will make. He knew they weren't coming back from this back in September. But did he unwind it? Did he release this document? No.
Shots
He
fired.
kept
Quick
the
Books just
scam
doing their
going.
thing.
And
Yeah.
that's just further evidence
Fucking
of
just
this
like,
being an
no
intentional
problem
fraud.
with QuickBooks.
Now,
They're just
from here, we're
they're a
finally
great
going
tool.
to move to the big kahuna, the Department of Justice complaint, where we get to the criminal allegations and we talk about jail time. So today, the DOJ released the sealed indictment where they revealed 8 counts of fraud. Now, we're not going to go through every single one of them because they kind of repeat, but they range from like conspiracy to commit wire fraud and wire fraud itself to conspiracy to money launder and then also conspiracy to violate campaign finance laws, going back to the huge donations to political parties they made. But the big takeaway is that if he actually goes down for these 8 things, he's facing serious prison time. And in my opinion, I think he's going to be declared guilty of at least some of these. I think the evidence is overwhelming. I personally have a confession from Sam that he commingled funds. We've got SEC complaints that he knowingly hid those $8 billion. We got the CFTC saying he knew back in September that Alameda was in trouble. So it's just, there's too much stacked against him is what I'm saying. But ultimately, we will see what happens. And you don't actually know until the actual trial happens. So we will be following it closely. But either way, I just wanted to say this is a win regardless. The fact that he's arrested, the fact he's going to have to stand trial and answer for what he's done and not be able to weasel his way out of it is something I'm very happy about. It's a huge win for everyone. I just wanted to cover this real quick. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting, and I will see you in the next one.
Well, damn.
The beginnings were as inadvertent.
What's on my subscription? Let's see what's going on my subscriptions. Let's watch something. Oh, hey, it's this guy. What's on my subscription? Let's see. Let's see. The $0 SimCity.
EA Sports. Big. Greetings, fellow gamers.
I love it.
In today's
Make
video,
your
I'm going to build a
amphibian.
city for $0 in SimCity. Traditionally, in SimCity 4, you have money to start. Invest in roads and houses. Collect taxpayer money, and invest in more roads and houses. Instead, today we're going to explore the seamy underbelly of the many exploits and loopholes built into this amazing game to make a city from literally nothing. So grab your popcorn and hold on to your hat, because here we begin at Year 0. The hardest difficulty started me off on day 1 with the minimum $100,000 starting money. The first step toward beginning the challenge was to get rid of the money, since it's against the spirit of a $0 challenge to have money. Done. Now that we were really starting from 0, the next step was to figure out how to get money again. But how the heck do you make money when you don't have any? We're not playing hot dog stand tycoon after all. Normally in SimCity, tax revenue is collected from residents. But what if we can't build residences in the first place since we don't have any money to start? Without taking out a loan, which I honestly think is against the spirit of this challenge, that leaves us with a few other income strategies. We can't charge for transportation since we just don't have any. We can't even make any deals with our neighbors since we have no municipal services to offer them whatsoever. That leaves us with business deals, which we'll get to in a second, but really the one I want to focus in on is city ordinances, where our strategy of minting money out of thin air really begins. Ordinances, after all, are city-wide policies which create either monthly income or expenses. Policies like a smoke detector program to help prevent disastrous fires in our city. A small expense to be sure, but hopefully helpful in preventing tears later on. Now, the simplest solution to this challenge would be to just legalize gambling. For some reason, you can make $100 a month extra by just ticking this box in the settings. Yes, a forest and a river where gambling is legal. Highly profitable. But I think that would be a stupid way to start. So instead, we're going even deeper into the red. So we enacted every single policy for our non-existent city. Carpool incentives. There weren't even cars. tire recycling, paper waste reduction. Need I say any more? It was all very expensive and completely unnecessary. My advisors were livid with my fiscal policy decision-making. Broke and penniless. It seemed that Loser City was doomed right from the start. My disapproving accountant lady appeared, this time with an offer. We could bail ourselves out by signing the first business deal. Business deals are scripted events in SimCity, and they're kind of like pacts with the devil. Losing money? Just sign this shady contract to let the federal government dump irradiated toxic waste in your town. So they would pay us $400 a month if we agreed. Our answer? Absolutely. By only July of our first year, we had driven ourselves to negative 4,000 simoleons. But with the help of the federal government, we reversed our downward financial trajectory and started making big money, $500 a month, and all just for staring at a radiation dump in the corner. Sure, it went on fire some of the time. Well, it went on fire most of the time, but we responded by building a fire department directly across the street from it, so that anytime there was a fire, we could put it out right away. Of course, the fire department was actually very expensive to run, at $125 a month, which cut into our profits. So in an act of financial brilliance, I decided to just stop funding it. Naturally, the firemen protested. So only when a fire occurred, I would fund the department. Then they would respond and put out the fire. Then when they got back to the fire station, I'd defund the department again. It was foolproof. Then they'd get back out their pickets and keep protesting again until the next fire, when we'd do it all over again. This was an amazing strategy at earning money, and at the same time keeping our toxic radiation dump safe and sound. And for the next 200 years, I repeated it over and over again until we had saved up $1 million. At which point, I decided it was time to start building our city.
Oh,
honestly,
God.
very exciting. So I started laying the foundations, but I didn't really put much effort into it. To tell you the truth, I'm going to destroy this city to make more money, so don't get too attached here. But in the meantime, I built up the farms. I built up the residences.
I love this. I love
even
this so
built
much.
up the water and the stupid infrastructure. When the citizens started rioting, I lowered taxes to 7.2%. People loved it, and our population skyrocketed from 0 to over 25,000 within just a few years of getting started. And for now, we could lean on all the money we had produced from our toxic waste dump to build up our city. My whole strategy revolves around getting our cash flows in the negative. So unfortunately, we started making money again by collecting too much in taxpayer money. I mean, I don't even think this is very fair in a $0 challenge. So I decided to just start lowering taxes again to 2%. You see, the true goal of my strategy was to get our cash flows into the red. Because if you do this with enough population like I did, your accountant lady returns with more offers. Casino is an amazing attraction that freely generates 300 simoleons of tax revenue per month for $0 upkeep. We accepted, and we built it across the river, directly beside the toxic waste dump. I even built safe, sustainable wind turbines to power them and blow the radiation toward the gamblers. We still weren't getting enough offers, though. So then I did the unthinkable, and I lowered taxes in Loser City to 0% across the board. Then, to drive us even further into the red, I started building expensive schools and hospitals, intentionally driving us even further into the red. Naturally, my advisors scrambled. How would we feed the infrastructure? Of course, and right on time, sensing our financial bleed out, my accountant lady returned with more and even shadier offers. Evil Genius's secret base? $380 a month. We'll take it. Top security? Federal prison? $250 a month. Army training base? Slated for construction directly beside the evil villain's lair? $350 a month. Altogether, it added up to 1,780 simoleons a month of completely free income. Of course, we were hosting a parasitic island of radiation, gambling, convicted felons, an evil mastermind, and the army, but hopefully the problems would just stay over there. Hopefully. With all that free income, I just decided, you know what, it's time to blow up the whole city and start fresh. I'd made a pretty bad first impression, and I wanted to start over. The year was 2258. The ruins of old Loser City stretched out upon the yawning plains like modern-day Florida. Piles of trash just all over the place. Exotic, sinister-looking wild animals roaming around. Nuclear test facilities, rampant gambling and tourism, and tanks patrolling the roads, all made possible by our amazing 0% income tax. So I decided to get started by building farms all over. That's good. Build wide, then we'll build tall. Okay, check. Now that the farms were done, I just had to tighten the budget up. After all, we didn't want to charge our farmers any money they didn't have or put them at financial need. But we'd also need people to farm those farms, so we carved out residences in their midst. You might notice that none of the infrastructure makes much sense. The roads look like crap, but that's just what you get for $0. Fortunately, it was cheap and affordable for our residents, which is important because they were all unemployed. No taxes, no road maintenance. Heck, you might have to climb out of your neighbor's yard just to get to the road. The one thing we did start investing was our fire department now. Gone were the days of picketing, protesting firemen, but only because fires were breaking out in the streets almost every single day. We kept it cheap enough to maintain that we were still making money. Though when people moved to Loser City, they usually didn't stay for long. After an unprecedented start full of rampant construction, almost everyone abandoned their homes, leaving only about 1,688 people living in the city. But at the very least, I can say that those people must have really liked it here. I decided that the few remaining citizens had a right to know how their unfortunate civic existences were being funded, so I constructed an expensive bridge across to the terrible island on the other side of the river. And upon further examination of the bad roads, I learned that almost all of the residents worked in the neighboring city, which is literally the tutorial. Embarrassing. So in an act of economic sovereignty and patriotism, I started constructing dirty factories for all the dirty residents of Loser City to work at. Commercial zones. They opened 40 copies of exactly the same place called Bennett Music Corp. And then they just abandoned all of them. This town sucks. Some people's houses are in other people's backyards. The fire department is crashing into the building with the fire and running people down on the way to extinguish it. We even had to open up another fire department across the street to just clean up the mess.
That's good.
I don't like taxes as much as the next person, but I want to live. You know, I tried. I tried building a city with $0. I funded it by alternate means, and I tried to keep it cheap and affordable for the residents. But sometimes you just try to fly too high and too close to the sun. And that is why you should give up and accept yourself. I think that's about it. I wanted to end on a positive note, so. Anyway, I'm Ambiguous Amphibian. I hope you enjoyed. A big thanks to my patrons. They give me all the cash I need to throw out the windows of my limousine. If I had a limousine. Today I'm going to try to build a city in the middle of the ocean, starting with just this one square of land. It's the Island Start challenge. Normally when you play Cities Skylines, you're building on the ground. But what if there were no ground? Instead, I installed a bunch of mods and I leveled an entire map below sea level except this one square, which is just barely above sea level, and connected it to the mainland only by this one extremely long and tenuous bridge. I set 3 goals. 1. Could I build a city in the water that was both profitable and happy by expanding the island? 2. Could I reconnect the roadways and re-establish regional traffic? And 3, maybe the most difficult, how long would it take to refill the entire landscape with dirt again instead of water? I started on February 24th, 2026. I guessed if I couldn't get it done in about 100 years, then it was pretty much worthless. So that was my end goal. The starting money, $300,000. I start off with a few basic needs I knew I'd require to get the city populated. Power plant, roads, water pump for the clean water, drainage for poop. And I zoned everything. Right away, you're not making money, and we needed to establish positive cash flow before we hit $0, or we'd be in major trouble, in need of a financial bailout, which we just didn't have. I terraformed the land to expand our borders. Unfortunately, anytime you do this, it causes a massive tidal wave that floods the city. Since I had decided to dump the sewage onto one side of the island directly into the ocean, it was creating a tide of doo-doo that was flowing toward the drinking water, meaning it was a race against time. Keep expanding the island's arms to contain the tainted waters and build our civilization around procrastinating to clean up the poop. Thus, by defunding the hospital and police, we were actually able to secure a positive tax cash flow and build a landfill where we put even more of the garbage that was piling up. In the midst of all this, I built a medical clinic to make sure everyone stayed alive, and then I raised taxes to keep expanding and bring in more people. Demand was high. Even I didn't think our society was very good, but people just kept streaming in like refugees until we broke a bustling population of 2,000. Things were looking good, except for the giant growing poop stain in the ocean. It was lowering property values, but our people were too dumb to notice. There were perks to being uneducated,
poop.
and at the end of the day, it was our poop stain. By 4 years in, I decided we'd need to start funding municipal services, or we would certainly suffocate ourselves with the massive pile of untreated sewage we were creating in the ocean. So I built an elementary school to educate people to eventually clean up the problem. The island's residents got smarter. I expanded more. Now it wasn't just tidal waves, but tidal waves of doo-doo water washing up in the streets. On the bright side, fortunately this meant we didn't require a fire department, since everyone's house was flooded just with raw sewage. And though it wasn't pretty, it was growingly profitable. I was halfway to my first goal, make a profitable city. Now just to get these people happier, we built a dog park. They loved it. It helped them ignore the pressing concern of ecological disaster, and in time, they had educated themselves enough to build an eco-friendly water plant, spewing out clean, clear water instead of the tainted crap they had into the ocean. We'd stemmed the tide, and that being said, we'd still have to clean up the brown water, and it remained there on the horizon as a reminder of our tainted past. So by 2033, our city had turned profitable and eco-friendly. It was time to provide our residents with fun, recreation, the amusement park. Unfortunately, everyone tried to steal by entering.
So far, here's where we're at, man. We've got that many switches. We got, oh man, I'm excited. We're getting there. I'm excited, dude. I'm loving how this is coming out.
Entering without paying. So I erected a perimeter wall to make people pay at the main gate. Success. Demand and property values soared in nearby districts. The citizens were happy, the poop was moving away from our shores, and the amusement park was fun. And so with the seed of a sustainable civilization planted, I began gradually expanding the island in a slow grind toward completely filling the ocean with dirt. So much ocean before us, it was extremely expensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars for just a single city block. Not to mention the thousands of innocent lives lost to drowning during the intermittent tidal surges that came alongside it every couple weeks. But it was encouraging to observe the foothold and growth of grass on the shoreline along the freshly dumped sands. By 2035, our population had crested 10,000, and I expanded southward, adding land block by block and accommodating new projects. But now the city was completely full of garbage, so we started just burning it and cleaned up the remaining crap in the ocean with this floating garbage collector. So the city improved. People were happier, we were making money, and we were filling up the land. It was kind of a grind, but what about connecting the highways? Well, it turned out we had to pad those with a landfill too. After all, a mile-long bridge costs upward of $150,000 just to build in the first place. It would be cheaper in the long run to just fill the ocean than worry about it later.
So far we
I
have
raised the
looted
land
5, 10, 15,
unintentionally
20,
knocked
25
out some
switches.
drivers because it turned out I had accidentally terraformed over one of the Earth's elusive blowholes, a point at which the planet spews out water into the ocean. It's tricky to avoid these, but I continued filling up the ocean with landfill, carefully working around them. However, in growing the city, the problems were beginning to multiply. Growing our population, for example, had made traffic unmanageable. So finally, once we had brought down the highways from up in the air and onto the ground, I decided to address the traffic problem in the city entrances. I burrowed down into secret tunnels from the highway exits to let traffic into the other parts of the city, fixing the traffic jams, but also making us extra vulnerable to the constant intermittent flooding underground and nonsensical dangerous intersections. But as the problems multiply, our tools grew. Now we're making nearly $40,000 a week in taxpayer money, so that after 22 years of terraforming, we had reached out our landmass to touch the north border of the square that our city inhabited. An exciting milestone, but along with the growth came another problem. The power demand was getting so high that natural gas was no longer scaling effectively to meet the city's needs. The solution was nuclear power plants, unstable and liable to blow up at any time, and right in the middle of one of the most populated and commonly flooded areas filled with innocent people at work. For all those drawbacks, the city did start to produce a surplus of power, slashing citizens' energy bills, raising demand, and necessitating the link-up of yet even more highways with a nice cloverleaf intersection, weaving together the underground and overground roads. Then I took a moment to just step back and admire the city. So much progress we had made from an embryonic square to this churning terramorphic expanse. Landfill. 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 Something blew up in the nuclear power plant, so we just built another one in the year 2057. As an apology to the residents, I lowered taxes and built them a zoo, causing a whole flood of new demand. Then a literal flood because I accidentally caused a tsunami by terraforming like this. It was okay, we had water pumps, and I had finally paved the city into a bona fide grid for smooth traffic flow. At this point in time, I knew it was going to take a while to generate the tax funds required to fill the rest of the ocean with dirt, so I decided to just leave my computer running overnight. And I woke up after another 50 years with $14 million, which it so happens still wasn't enough money, so I had to go out and do some errands while I left it running again. Finally, and that was just about enough money, I checked back on my computer, and we had enough to fill up the rest of the ocean. Another milestone and another goal completed. But I'd waited so long that everyone in town was dead. Or at least, there were a lot of dead bodies lying around. Apparently, some people insisted on being buried in a cemetery rather than the eco-friendly route of cremation. So I started building more graveyards to house the dead, but then I ordered them to dig up the dead bodies to the crematoriums to just burn them anyway. We all need to make sacrifices for each other in this society. Otherwise, the city would have eventually just turned into one big graveyard. We aimed to raise efficiency by putting the crematorium next to the graveyard, next to the elder care facility. I think citizens made the implicit connection. It was brutal, but also logistical.
My hands are starting to hurt.
The only remaining bodies of water were those needed to empty out.
Once I'm out of lube, I think I'm going to call it for tonight, because we've gotten more than halfway done with
forming
this.
the backbone of our river system.
Just in general.
Now it wasn't
but
stagnant
I'm
water,
running out of
roaring
the ability
rapids
to
that could safely
feel my
flush the
finger,
poop out into the
my
ocean.
thumb. So
back to my original goals. 1. I had terraformed
It
the
is
land. Check.
I'm going to have
2.
to say, give
I
my
had
thumb
connected
a
all the
rest.
highways, cleared for travel. Check. And 3. My city was
It
now
is.
profitable. But
It's got
no one
blood,
was
sweat,
happy.
and tears, but most
Men in
importantly,
balaclavas
tears.
roamed the streets. 50% of our society had dropped out of elementary school or never attended at all. We had only 69% average health. I lamented the fact that nearly 100 years had passed.
I'm not
and
murdering
I hadn't
myself.
even
It's just
taken care
these
of anyone.
switches.
Yes,
You think
I mean,
these
it was
tiny little
necessary
plastic
to
pieces, and
feed
you're
people
constantly
secure a
pushing
brighter
into them with
future.
your
But I
thumb.
built a
It's-
city that was just a factory to produce
It
money
eventually
to fill up the
does
ocean and flush away
kill
poop. What if our whole civilization
some
was just
feeling in your
one big
thumb.
glorified toilet bowl? I mean, there was literally a business called Customer Service Services. I had created a fake economy based on nothing, acting like you're working. What was all this expansion, logistics, focus on GDP when deep down our people were just quietly miserable? So I gave them what they deserved. Zoos, parks, airports, subways, things to get them around and make the most of their sad little lives. I guess I'm just trying to say, in the words of the gorillas, don't get lost in heaven. We had everything we wanted. We built this expansive economic powerhouse, but at what human cost? Anyway, it's important to stop and smell the grass and the roses along the way. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thanks to my patrons who surf the tsunamis of life with me. I'm Ambiguous Amphibian. Until next time, my friends.
This man is hilarious. Why am I unsubscribed? Jesus. Let's see here. Look at subscriptions. Never mind. Let's look at my homepage. Oh, here we go. That guy is really funny. This is possibly one of the funniest, like, dry humor. Like, some of the funniest dry humor I've ever seen on YouTube. It's a guy who cooks. Like, it's a cooking show, but, like, you'll see.
Hello everybody and welcome to Henry's Kitchen, where today we're going to be making Henry's chip beef on toast, otherwise referred to as shit on a shingle. Shit on a shingle is a uniquely American dish which traces its roots to the U.S. military because it's an easy dish to make when rations are low, and it contains all 4 groups of the food groups. The ingredients we're going to be using for today's recipe are 1 cup reduced fat milk, 1/4 cup flour, canned beef and sausages, some Worcester sauce, 2 tablespoons butter, and some seasonings. We're going to start by heating up our butter on a medium-sized skillet over medium heat. This is about 2 tablespoons. If it's a little more, it's fine. So you want to let that heat up. Oh, and make sure you turn on the heat. Now let's start adding our canned meats. I've got
slapped ham impression
here.
there.
And you can use whatever canned meats you have lying around.
damn.
That's kind of the beauty of this recipe.
Can't say that it
Maybe slice them up a little bit. You know, I was reading recently where apparently cats are the most self-centered of all the domesticated animals.
I'm gonna try and get 2 more so I can complete this row.
Apparently when a cat meows at you, what he's really saying is that he wants you to get out of here. I've also got some canned beef here. And I'm trying to just get
Tim
the
has a
meat.
deflection when he
We don't need
talks.
them putting their gravy in our dish.
Oh, I don't know that I know that
1/4 cup
offhand.
flour. Add the milk.
I don't know that I know his inflection offhand.
Want to give these meats a chance to swim around in their own juices. Add the Worcester.
I prefer the Bester.
Okay, now we're ready for step 2. Okay, so I've got 2 pieces of bread here, and these are going to be our proverbial shingles, and we're just going to cover them with our proverbial shit. Try to smother them completely. And this meal can be eaten for breakfast, lunch, or even dinner. There's really no clear designation on exactly what
The fucking
this is.
sensor being so late is so good.
My neighbor Bob is a veteran who fought in the Vietnam War, Strategic Air Command. I think it would be a nice gesture for us to bring him some of our food. Well, I'd rather be all alone than to have my heart broken. I could live on a deserted island as long as there was food. And I'd rather just waste away than to spend my life thinking about the choices that I've made and how I'd change them if I could. It really tastes like shit on a shingle. Well, thanks for joining me here on Henry's Kitchen, everybody. And as always, I want to thank the patrons at patreon.com/Henry's Kitchen. And don't forget, you can see me do live recipes on Twitch at HenLips1. Thanks again, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your month. Don't look now, shit on a shingle. Everybody run for the western side. Don't look now, shit on a shingle. Everybody's drinking turpentine. Don't look now, shit on a...
That was 5 hours ago. God damn. Boy is still active. Okay, so here's where we're at. Yeah, here's where we're at. Let me bring. So I've got this last switch and just enough lube to do so. And then that will make a full row on the keyboard. And then we can take some keycaps and do a test. Okay. Alrighty, I gotta give my thumb a break for tonight. But here's how far we got. We got the top 2 rows done, and then all of our stabilized keys. So what we can do as a test, because I'm probably going to do the rest off camera, just because it's going to be way easier for me to just do this in my spare time. Let's grab our space bar, which I believe is going to go like that. We've got our shift key, which that is not the right shift key. I believe this is our enter key. I need to work it a bit. We can use F11. Need a full-size shift. There we go. It's a little off. I think that's going to be different. If I look at this layout, this is going to be our top layer. So that's tilde 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh. F12. F5. Five, 6, 7. There's caps lock. 4. F6. There's backspace. This is going to take a minute to work a little. So some of the stabilizers need a little bit of working. But the stabilized keys will be really quiet, minus the space bar. Here's a shift. There we go. Two. Let me try this. We're getting there. I'm loving it, man. Oh, that's not the right 4. That's the numpad 4. That's a numpad 5. It's sounding great. We're gonna go. That's gonna be a bit of a weird sensation, but it'll work out over time. It's gonna be very, yeah, there are definitely extra keys. Let's see here. Usually why I like the keycaps that don't come in a box like this, but I suppose that's what I needed to expect from a cheaper keycap set. Oop. Where did that go? Sounds much more what I want. Yeah, I'm hoping so, man. I really do hope so. Tilde, Alt, Control. There's the right 5. No. The minus. Numpad. No. No. Not yet. Oh, I think so too. I think it's going to work out. I think genuinely this will be the best keyboard you've ever owned, and that it's going to feel way better than any keyboard you've ever owned. Because even just playing with it here, I'm like, damn. Ooh. There's quite a few novelty keycaps. That I will say. Way more than I expected there to be. Yeah, there's tons of novelty ones, and you can swap those out whenever you'd like. And there we go. I just need the 0. Wrong 0. That's a D. That's a print screen. F. That's an O. There it is. Alrighty. That's what we've got so far. Oh, dude. When this is all said and done, it's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be so good. And yeah, no, it really is clean. And it is a different typing profile than you're used to. So like by default, they use these cherry profile keys or OEM. These are XDA profiles, so they're all the same height, but I've been typing on XDA for a while and I really like it. I think you'll dig it. I think you're really gonna like it. It makes the top like almost like curved squares. It's just we're getting there, but I have to call it for tonight, guys. My hands are killing me. And my particular keyboard, if I can't, I actually lost feeling in the tips of my fingers, for like 2 days. Yeah, camera battery is upsetting, rightfully so. It's time for it to go to sleep. Give me a second. Alrighty, so here's the deal. God, that's because I made it bigger earlier. There we go. So here's the deal. I'm going to finish up this keyboard without streaming it. We're close to, like, we made great progress. So we've got the base done. It's completely done to where it doesn't feel hollow. It's got a little fuck, but that's okay. The key switches, the lubed matchas, oh my god, what a win, dude. Just, ugh! Ugh! It sounds so good. Okay, and so what we're going to do is I'm going to pack up all of this stuff, and I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to work on it tomorrow. If you're in my Discord or you're in Ryan's Discord, to anyone who is, it's almost kind of knuckle cracky. Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this finished tomorrow evening. And then I will post pictures in the, in either mine or Ryan's server. And when those are done, oh, Dude, a full keyboard of this is gonna be fucking awesome. I have to stop tonight, killing my hands. But yeah, I will let y'all go. The one thing that I wonder, do I have DroidCam still installed? I might just. Hold on. We're gonna go a little mobile. Let me download DroidCam again. That's not a difficult thing to set up. Okay, so here we go. Let me add video capture device. Cool. DroidCam. Next. Oh. it found the index. Those are the cameras on the front of the index. That's funny. Let's do this. Okay. Got it. Okay, let me connect to my Wi-Fi network here. That's funny. That was hilarious. DroidCam picked up the fucking index as a camera. That's funny as hell. Let me reopen DroidCam. Let me go to DroidCam's compatibility bits. DroidCam client, device IP. Okay. Oh, port 47. 172.16.1.17. Hold on. Yeah, it is. It is made out of duct tape. It works, kinda. Sorta, kinda. It's just really unhappy. Where are you, dude? You have the ability to use my camera. So why you know C? Why you know C? The fuck? 172.16. Okay. And this shit's doo-doo ass. Why not work? Oh well. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and leave and go throw away this shit. I was gonna take you with me to throw it away, but since DroidCam wants to be dumb, I will not do that. But I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Kyle, tomorrow this will be completed. It's gonna be a good time. I will talk to y'all later. Have a good night. Mwah, 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 mwah. Go subscribe to Anxious Amphibian because he's kind of the greatest and his stuff was hilarious. Or Ambiguous Amphibian. Have a good one. Good night, everybody. Bye!